what we're going to do now is that, just like we did before, is to give you a chance to share anything that's emerged for you or that is a revelation that you think other people in the room would also like to hear. Something very brief, but something that you want to share as an aha, or something that you want to share just as a question. If you have a question for the panel, they're still here for you to ask the question. So who would like to go first? Yes, please, right over here.
Hi, my name's Kapal. I'm from Sydney, Australia. And, I came here because I donated for Summer Sauce and got a ticket to this event. Oh. And,
yay! Wow.
And I really came here feeling really just disheartened, because I've come from Australia. I quit my job and I came to San Francisco to look for a job in philanthropy and tech. And I'd been rejected for a job from google.org, and it was a job that I really, really wanted. I turned into a 5-year-old and just chucked a tantrum, wanted to give up and go back to Sydney. And I'm so empowered right now, and I've got a group of women here who are willing to support me in my journey. And thank you for this event, and it's been a really eye-opening event. So thank you. I'm so glad you
Kapala, I got Kapala's email yesterday. She just jumped on board and said, I want to donate to Samasource. And she's the one person who took the perk of coming to the event because it was such last minute notice. And I was so thrilled to get you to come and just to meet you. You're so lovely. And I can see why immediately everyone would want to support you and your vision. And that is really what we're about here, is these well events, as you know, as you've experienced, are for women to get up underneath each other, to be on the hunt for each other's gifts and to support one another. And we also do that through our programs. You know, we have an annual leadership program called Spiral Up. And there are women in the room who have taken that course. If you want to raise your hand so that people can look around, if you want to talk to any of the fans of that course, that at some point that's available, and you can tell Susan Green with the necklace on that's standing up in the back to, if you want to talk to her about Spiral Up. And so I wanted to take now any questions that you have or any sharing that you have that you'd like to share. Yes.
Something that's really piqued my interest is this idea of veritas. That's the right word, right?
Gravitas.
Gravitas, thank you. Gravitas.
What's Veritas? Probably a tech company. Tech company, right?
Yeah, right.
It's in the air.
So my question is, I mean, the more I thought about it, the more I thought, it's almost like giving yourself, I think that's natural in all of us. It's not just about being the CEO and expressing that, but really that's part of just being your own leader. And so I guess my question to the group is, or the panel is, how do you bring that out in yourself? How do you get that capability or that presence to come out in yourself?
The thing about gravitas is, first of all, we talked about how difficult it is for women to manifest it, because there's a lot of dual stereotypes about what women can do. There's a lot of judgment if a woman is decisive, and we quickly go into the B category and all that stuff. The point here is, first of all, if you have the knowledge and you have the skills, you have to have the goods first. So first, make sure that you're an expert at what you're doing. You can't only hang on to any of gravitas if you don't have the knowledge. The second thing about it is that if you're having trouble and you're developing that, create your own strategy for your own gravitas. For instance, if you have trouble controlling a room when the crowd gets rowdy and you don't know how to get everybody quiet, get cohorts. Get your peers to help you. Bring a sponsor to the room to make room for you. When you're trying to present that idea, the sponsor will say, wait, stop. What does she have to say? Say it again? What a great idea. So the point is, do you co-opt? For example, when people are throwing objections, do you say, that's a really good point? So anyway, you create your strategies for that and find what things are difficult for you, and you just create your own personal strategies.
For me, when you think about someone that you know that has gravitas, what do you notice about them? Is it like charisma? Is it magic? Is it, it's a heft? What? You want what?
To follow them.
I want to follow them.
Follow them.
You want to listen to them.
For me, I think it's authenticity. I think part of it is authenticity. It's also being able to stand your ground and be firmly embodied in your leadership. You know, it's about believing in yourself from the core. So a lot of times we're told that we should adopt certain behaviors or clothing or say certain things or take power stances, and all of those are good, but if they're modeled onto a person who deeply believes that they're flawed or inadequate, you have to address those lies first and really be willing to tangle with or tussle with those misbeliefs that we all sometimes take on. I just think that's a conversation that you have with your inner self when the next time you say to yourself, oh, I shouldn't do this, somebody else is better suited for this job, you know. You gotta have that other part of you, that advocate that says, wait a minute, you know, look at my track record. I recommend people keep a kudos file. You know, every time you get an acknowledgement from somebody or you have a win, just keep a documentation, a folder of all those things and put them in it so that the next time you find yourself doubting yourself, you can go to that file and go, wait a minute, I'm going to stand in the regard that other people have for me. Even though I can't right now, I'm going to stand in that regard.
5 years ago, I went to a women's media center training, which I highly recommend. It was in New York. It's Jane Fonda and others started this organization to help prepare women to have a public role. There were 10 of us that were fellows. And the first exercise we did was a facilitator asked us to go around the room, state our name and our expertise. Simple, right? Except all of us said, oh, this is my name. I don't really have much expertise. So for us to be able to, in that session, claim our expertise, and everyone here has expertise, and even if you don't have to have a PhD, even the PhD women don't think they have expertise for some reason. Claim expertise, because it gives you gravitas. Men don't have a problem with this. Yeah. I went there once, so I'm an expert with that place. I also learned 2 other things that helped contribute to my ability to have gravitas, because I do this thing. Last year I did it 54 times. I emceed 32 events. I do this all the time. So you have to have gravitas to facilitate and to MC or moderate. I was on the radio and I did television. And so the other 2 things that contributed to that is to learn how to control your voice, your actual voice. So maybe no one in this room does this, but I know you know women who end their sentences that are statements as a question. And then people are like, well, are you asking me a question? Or you're not even sure that what you're saying. It diminishes you. So literally paying attention to the tone of voice is helpful. And the third is the thing that we women do with each other, which is, you know, I love that dress. This old thing, it's like, I got this secondhand and whatever. That thing we do, that we do to be friendly and no one thinks, stop doing that, because it diminishes your gravitas. So a woman who's a dear friend of mine, and she's 60, she does something which I modeled, I started doing. I love your dress. This is a good dress, isn't it? You're so great that I am really good at that. Thank you. And it's amazing. Other women, even though we're used to relating socially in a way that will, you know, oh, well, I'm nothing. You're better. If you stop doing that, women will still like you.
That's great.
Someone tweeted those 3 out. That was awesome. Anyone else want to share something you had yes, please, Mike.
Hi, thank you so much for the conversation. I grew up in India, and it was really hard for me to be here. I was used to basically told that women are not supposed to play, for example, sports when I was growing up. So I have gotten used to questioning sort of establishment. But I'm so glad that we are having this conversation. When first time I had we were married for a while, and I didn't want to have kids because I would not have a career. But then, obviously I had kids, and I'm so glad that, Cheryl and Sharon, you guys are all bringing up all these great, facts that it's okay to work at 5:30 and have a dinner with your kids and still have a career, and being even rising in the corporate ladder and being able to share your responsibility with your partner. So I just want to thank you. And my story goes like this, that I had a 2-year-old boy, and then I had another one. So I would be, putting my 2-year-old to bed, pumping, and then, and still going back to work at like middle of night. And I think we all can do this if we have this kind of energy. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we have questions over here. Yeah.
Thank you. I wanted to thank the panelists. This has been amazing, this one and the earlier one. All of them spoke to me. I think every word of your sentence should be a hashtag that can have a blog, that a lot of beautiful stories can be behind it. And I hope we can continue to have this conversation online and in smaller or larger session. And I appreciate all the comments. I wanted to add a point that I personally experienced. I was blessed with great parents, great education, and I came to this country 36 years ago, 35, and I got from Iran. So I had the good opportunity to have this black and white contrast. So I don't take anything for granted in this country. And all the education and opportunity for professional development, I try to remember it and create that opportunity for others, young girls, boys here that I meet. Because I feel when they don't have that reference point or contrast, they take everything for granted, and then we have a challenge of STEM education. If they know what's the possibilities with that, they get excited. So I do that type of work. But what I wanted to mention is I was lucky as I worked at Cisco for 20 years. I'm still there. So I just finished that. I was blessed with great mentors. One is sitting next to me, my manager, and now she's retired. But also sponsors. I had an executive sponsor, but it happened almost by accident. It wouldn't happen if I wouldn't ask for it. And I didn't ask for executive sponsor. It was one of those times so the reason I share is to encourage you to do that. It was one of those times I finished a project, and it was one of those one-on-one for annual performance review. So it happened to be my VP, and we had that 10, 15, 20 minutes meeting. And after, the accolades, it was a great project. What do you want to do, Seema? I didn't hesitate, because I've been thinking about it, not just for that meeting, for a while, that it's not by accident. I am in technology, I'm from Iran, and there is this whole repression going on in Iran. Freedom of speech is non-existent, and all this desire for change and transformation. And I'm here at Cisco Communication Company. We want to change the way we work, live, play, and all learn. And I said, and I kept in my mind was always, internet is going to change the way we liberate, the way we achieve freedom. It was because people in Iran were number 1, number 2 bloggers in the world, even though there is. So I told him, he said, what do you want to do? I said, I want to start a nonprofit that is going to help the use of internet for this kind of changes. And he said, Seema, don't do it alone. Stand on the shoulder of giant. And he picked up the phone, called Cisco Corporate Affairs, and said, I want to recommend Seema for leadership fellowship development. Wow. And it all happened in less than 10 minutes. Wow. And it was amazing. And I had no idea Cisco had that kind of program. They have stopped it, but at the time, only 10 people per year, they would get recommended by their executives. You couldn't apply for it. And it was 1 year, so there are ways to simulate that if you don't have that. And it was basically you get assigned like a gift to a nonprofit for a year, as if they are the company, and you assist them with the strength you had. So I became like the technology director, help Teachers Without Borders to build their Web 2.0 platform for teachers to access internet. That whole year, that experience, even though it was less than 5 people organization, so there were no IT department, anything would break, Seema, how can we fix this? And I said, oh, there is no technical support here, I have to help them. But all that put me in that challenging position to problem solve, and I found my voice in that assignment. So I learned leadership and practiced it. And after that, my career growth wasn't about the title anymore. It was a career path became my life path. And I developed a strategic plan beyond my job at Cisco or this career. And I tried to say, okay, the fact that I want to have an impact in society, it doesn't have to be limited to my job. And I continue to do that. So, but if the sense of entrepreneurship and encouraging that, or this opportunity wasn't there, I couldn't have developed. So I wanted to bring this additional concept to the women, leadership, all these executive presence. We need to encourage the sense of entrepreneurship, make that available to women, because corporation may be still many layered thick.
Yes.
We still will have difficulty growing. So if we can start up our organizations like yourself, or start a book, that would give us these creative ways to grow.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Where are we on time? Oh, wrap up. Good.
Wendy,
Yes.
can I make a comment about
Yes, please.
authenticity?
Yes.
So I want to encourage a couple of things that as you create and find these findings and put together your roadmap, you need to ask yourself a very important question. What are your non-negotiables and what are your negotiables? Your non-negotiables are things that you cannot or are not willing to change about yourself. If you like to smile and that's who you are, it's a non-negotiable. If, the color of our skin, our age, my accent. I've struggled with this accent for years, and then we declared a truce a few years back. We live in harmony now. No more fighting. But the point is that you all have your non-negotiables. Make sure that you're aware of that, because protect your non-negotiables, because they're at the core of who you are. And at the same time, pay attention in your company. Are there non-negotiables there? There's some companies that are very strict about dress code, but perhaps very flexible in terms of how you communicate. So just make sure that you find that, and then you balance those out.
Thank you. And I just want to give another round of applause to these brilliant women who are up here today. Really so generous to bring themselves to this. Yes.
Will you be mailing out all the attendees?
Oh, I'm glad you reminded me. Thank you for that question. So we have a private Facebook group that you can join called TEDx Sand Hill Road Women. If you haven't already joined it, you can join that, and then everyone here who wants to be in contact with you will be on there, and you can communicate with them that way, because people are asking me how to be in touch with each other, and I can't really send out the whole email list without getting permission. So, say again? No. You'll find it, and then you'll ask to join, and I'll say yes. Okay. I will be so happy to say yes.